everybody, welcome along to Sportsbet TV as we look forward to some more great weekend action across Britain and Ireland. This is Paul Alster with you. I have a couple of free selections for you for this Saturday, the 28th of September. If you're new to the service, just stumbling across us for the first time, and please join well over 7,000 others who have subscribed free by clicking on the subscribe button just below this screen. Well, two selections for you coming up in a moment this weekend, but we had a couple last weekend, and well, we had a very, very near miss, in particular with Premier Lean, who I'm still trying to figure out how it got beat because it cantered into the lead approaching the final furlong of the Seeliway trial. Looked all over the winner. It was trading at 8-1 on the exchanges and somehow managed to get beaten by Robert Johnson close home, but that's racing for you, Premier Lean. So that was a bit of a belly blow. Over at Ayr, it was the Gold Cup, of course, last Saturday, and I had a selection here at Sportsbet in Mostabshire, who ran very, very well. He was beaten in a blanket finish for 4th place, eventually finishing 7th. Now, I tipped him and suggested the first 6 places, so unfortunately he's going to count as a loser for us, even though I know quite a few firms were offering 7 or 8 places. So I hope if you back Mostabshire, you managed to get the place money and you finished ahead and very possibly got a place double as well with Premier Lean. But what I'm delighted to say is that for those that did take up the offer to join Out in Front, my subscription service, we hit the jackpot in the Ayr Gold Cup last Saturday with 20-1 shot Lethal Levi, who made all the running towards the stand side, and that was a particularly big effort. The other horses I suggested as well at Out in Front, 2 of the other 3 also ran very well for nice place doubles and trebles. So I suggest that if you're interested in Out in Front, that you consider signing up at the monthly fee of just £25 to cover all the weekend action and those midweek races that I cover, and of course all the festival meetings as and when they come along. But we're trying out something new this week. It was suggested to us, and I think it's maybe not a bad idea, that if you're interested just to find out what the 4 selections are at Out in Front for Saturday, you can click the same link and you can just step in and pay for the one bulletin. For £5 you can get the suggestions and without having to sign up and commit yourself to anything. So that is going to be your prerogative. If you follow the link in the description box below this screen, if you want to find out what I have to go with the 2 I'm going to offer you for free now, you can do so by clicking that link and then just follow the very easy instructions over on the Patreon site. I'm taking you now to the 2 I have for you. As you're very well aware, there's been a bit of weather around in Britain over the last few days. It's been absolutely slinging it down, and the flat courses in particular are very, very testing ground. And at Haydock in the 3:15, we have the 5 furlong My Pension Expert handicap, where the going is generally heavy. 10 runners, and as ever, the bookies are fearing the William Haggis horses in handicaps. And he's got a horse here called Wiltshire, who's been installed the early 3-1 favourite. That's because it's won 3 of its last 4 starts. 2 of those wins came on the all-weather, not really relevant to heavy ground, so they don't give much clue about how he's going to handle conditions. But he also did win on good to soft ground at Newbury in April, and last season he ran a respectable 5th on soft ground to the smart Isaac Shelby in the Group 3 Greenham Stakes. So he's £8 higher than his last turf win, though. So if he's going to win, he's going to have to produce a personal best, in my view. So I don't think there's much value at the 3-1 that's being offered. Gerbat is trained by David and Nicola Barron. He has a win and a close second to his name from 2 recent starts over the course and distance, so he clearly likes it at Haydock. He also handles soft ground. Whether he would go as well on heavy conditions, and I don't think everybody really appreciates the difference between soft and heavy. It's amazing how many horses that go on soft ground, you think, oh, well, it's heavy, it's just a bit more than soft. But they just can't get through the ground on heavy. So some can, some can't. We'll find out if Gerbat is going to be up to it. He was a half-length second here early this month, and he hasn't gone up in the weights for that. So I think that's encouraging. Now, Colberg's Silky Wilkie ran a screamer there last Saturday, of course. He found Erna his stable companion, the sainted Lethal Levi. Did I tell you we tipped that out in front? He found him too good for him in the Air Gold Cup last Saturday. Now, he's only gone up a pound, Silky Wilkie. He is feared because although that run came on fairly quick ground, he's got plenty of form in the book on pretty testing conditions, so he should be banged there. For me, more of a question is whether he's got over his exertions, going, of course, all the way up to the west coast of Scotland, a long ride in the horse box as well, there and back. Has he got over that within 7 days? Blind Beggar for Michael Appleby and the veteran Hyperfocus for Tim Easterby both go well on the ground, so they come into the equation. And if Aberama Gold, an old favourite for David O'Mara, decides he fancies the job, then, of course, last year's heavy ground Stewards Cup winner could leave them all trailing off his current mark. And I have noticed there has been quite a bit of money around for him this afternoon. They've been wading in and backing Aberama Gold. But he hasn't taken his chances so far this term, so I think the jury's out on him at the moment. My selection is Blue Storm. Blue Storm is trained by the up-and-coming young trainer Gemma Tutty, and Jack Mitchell takes the ride. This horse gets the vote here, despite having a lot of weight for a 3-year-old taking on older horses. Now, this horse was a close third last season at Bath in a decent novice stakes in heavy ground, making me optimistic he is going to handle conditions. And he went on to land the second win of 2023 in December at Southern, a 5-furlong nursery off a mark of 81. And then after a promising reappearance this season, when he was fourth in a decent handicap at the May meeting at Chester, this colt by Blue Point, who was a terrific sprinter, produced a tremendous performance, the biggest win for the yard, to win the valuable Epsom Dash on Derby Day. He ran on really powerfully, beating 18 rivals off a mark of 88. And he then ran an even better race in defeat when, despite not getting the best of runs, he flew home to finish second to Pilgrim at Royal Ascot in the Palace of Holyrood House handicap off a mark of 94. Now, I think Gemma Tutty's been really smart here, because after the Epsom and Ascot runs within the space of 2 or 3 weeks, she very sensibly gave the horse a break, a 10-week midsummer break, before bringing him back to the fray in the listed Beverley Bullet 4 weeks ago, where a combination of very smart opposition and the lack of a run counted against him on fast ground. I think that with that run to put him straight after the summer break, he's going to run really well now, with conditions hopefully going to suit Blue Storm at Haydock on Saturday, and he's available 9-1 each way with most firms. Blue Storm 315 over at Haydock. And then I'm sure many of you are wondering if I'm going to offer any thoughts on the Cambridgeshire. Well, I am, because the 340, the Cambridgeshire handicap at Newmarket over 9 furlongs, is the first leg of the autumn double. Massive field. I think we're down to now, but I'm just going to check, because there were a couple of non-runners that popped up not very long ago. Curdor is out and Penzance is out, and that means that we have a field of 35. I think they're probably stuck in a few reserves there. Yes, EBT's Guard is going to run, amongst others, and Poniros will get a run as well. So there's been money for that. Anyway, you know, we often refer to the big handicaps as a cavalry charge, but it's no more epitomised than in the Cambridgeshire handicap. The first leg of the autumn double, second leg, of course, being the Cesarewitch. Massive field across the Rolling Mile, a race that Tess Senni, race commentator, race caller, and over the years I've called this race a few times myself. It certainly keeps you on your toes, and Imodium, I find, is a very good friend when commentating on races like the Cambridgeshire or the Stewards Cup. Anyway, the evidence of racing so far this week at Newmarket is that the better ground, if you can call it that, is probably on the stand side. That's the higher numbers in the draw. So it comes as no surprise to see the majority of the horses featuring prominently in the betting being drawn high. And among the favourites is Emmett Mullins's This Song Is For You, who's already been the subject of a major gamble over the last week after incurring a £4 penalty for his win at the Curragh at Champions Weekend in the valuable Northfields Premier handicap over 1.25 miles. He's drawn in the middle in stall 17, which isn't too bad. He's going to be feared despite because of his trainer's record of landing big British prices, as we very well know, especially when the money is down. But there's a mixed messages in the market of late in the last hour at the time of this recording, because while one major firm, Bet365, still go 6-1, a few others are taking a view that he's not going to win. And they've gone out to 9-1 now, and even 10-1 with William Hills. So interesting to see the difference of opinion. Now, one trainer with a very good record in this race is John Gosden. He famously won this with the terrific Halling, who won it as a 3-year-old, beating older horses, and then went on to win some terrific races, including I think it was the Eclipse Group 1, amongst others. Now, the bookies rightfully have been fearful ever since of Gosden-trained runners in this race. And now, along with his son Thady this year, he's got Roi de France, having only its 5th race of its life, only its 2nd run in a handicap, a potentially really useful horse running in the colours of famous owner Bjorn Nielsen, the owner of the mighty Stradivarius. Now, this colt has got a good drawer in stall 25. He's also got Oisin Murphy on board. But whether he's got the ability to handle the rough and tumble of this race, being so inexperienced, remains to be seen. Now, the ground is going to be very testing, and this really could turn into a slog. And what that means is that much of the form that horses bring into this race could be irrelevant, because they've been running their races on good or even good to firm ground through the summer, and in the last 3 or 4 weeks, where we've had some pretty decent weather up until the last few days. So I've been focusing on the mud lovers for my analysis of this race, because I think you have to handle conditions if you're going to win. Now, some of them were originally dismissed by the bookies. I'm going to be backing 2 in the race, one of which I'll be recommending to my clients at Out in Front. Now, there's a short list here that include the progressive 3-year-old Norwalk Havoc for Jesse Harrington, Theory of Everything for David O'Mara, Look Back Smiling for Gemma Tatti, Paddy the Squire for Ian Jardine, and my old favourite, Dual Identity for William Knight. I think they're all going to run really well. But I think there's a horse here at really big odds that could run far better than many bookmakers think, and that horse is called Navaggio. Now, Navaggio is trained by James Horton and is the mount of Kieran Schumark. And this horse is a 66-1 shot each way for 6 places with Bet365 at the time of this recording. Now, they're standing their ground on this one, but many other firms have already laid him from 66-1 down to 33s and even 28-1 in a place. But it looks like 66-1 can still be had, and I hope you manage to get this when this message reaches you. I'll tell you why I think he's value, this horse. Well, first of all, he was 3rd in the spring, early on in the season at Doncaster in the Lincoln, over a mile. His first run for James Horton, and that was having ended last term in Ireland for Ray Cody, winning 2 of his last 3 races on soft ground, including over an extended 9 furlongs. I think he's going to love the conditions, and he ran a very fair race last time out behind Theory of Everything at Ascot. Now, the market has weighted the betting towards those drawn towards the stand size rail in the high numbers, but that could ironically see a whole load of horses from the middle draw down concertinaing towards the stand side, and that could mean there could be traffic problems, couldn't there? And as we saw last week at Air with Lethal Levi, sometimes it's best to just go straight from point A to point B, put your head down and go for it. And I think that might happen with Navaggio. He'll avoid trouble, and I think that could counterbalance any potential negative effect of the draw. I think connections will be delighted that the rain has been coming down, and judging by Friday's action, it really was quite attritional. There were loads of non-runners as well. So with 6 places on offer, I think he's going to go well at the 66-1. And remember, that means that when you're backing him each way for a place as well, is 13-1 for a place to finish in the first 6. So that's Navaggio, who I'm going to be backing at those odds, along with my other selection that's going to be given to clients at Out in Front. It's going to be a terrific weekend. It might be pretty brutal stuff in difficult conditions, but at least we're going to see some really competitive action. I hope you enjoy your weekend racing, and I look forward to speaking to you again, same time next week. Bye for now.